Hi and welcome back. Now we're going to do something a bit different. I'm going to show you an interface. But first, I've made a file here in the same folder, my folder, called interface.py, and I want you to do the same. And at the same time, now we're going to rename here, so this becomes even easier to deal with. Since we're making this for our future selves. So our first video was about variables. So I renamed Python Basics Variables. Our second video was all about booleans and conditionals. So we'll do that, and we'll call it, instead of 2, I'll go underscore bools. Just remember that conditionals have to do with bools. And yeah, if you know it, you know it. It's just a matter of remembering syntax and things like that. Python Basics 3 was about sequences, so let's do that, sequences. And Python Basics 4 was about loops. It was quick and easy, but very, very useful. So now it's a bit more, it doesn't have the right order, but that doesn't matter anymore. You know this now, so you can reference things based on what you need to look at, not like the third one and the first one and the fourth one. So we're essentially moving from a list type storage to a dictionary type storage, if you can follow the metaphor. But for now, let's go back into interface and do this thing. So the first thing we're going to learn here is how, when we're making something that's more real, we're always going to have to import something from somewhere else. Now in this tutorial, we're making an interface, and we're going to have to import from ourselves. Not have to, we don't really need it, but I'm going to show you how to do it anyway. So this is called import, and I'm going to import a module called random, and it works like this: import random. So what does this do? So import is a statement that imports I cannot forget to. Did you forget this? This was a test. I hope you noticed before I did this. Basic REPL interface. Actually, I'm not going to call that a REPL interface, because REPL, the E in REPL stands for eval, and we're not evaluating, as in we're not running code. It's an echo interface we're going to make, where the E stands for echo, which kind of makes the same. It becomes REPL anyway, which stands for is it relay eval print loop, something? I forget. So it's an echo interface. I believe that's what it's called. So we're going to import random, and imports always go at the top of the file, under the comment at the top of the file. That goes at the very top. But at the top of your code, you should put all your imports. There are many other ways of importing, and there are many ways of using random. I'm going to make another video just about import and about random to show you more about it. Are we only importing random? No. Random is just a random coincidence, ironically. Random is part of the built-in libraries. It's part of the standard library of Python. It comes with every Python install. You don't have to install something other to get random. But when you're installing other things, you will import them in the same way, right? So the package has to be, which is either a file name or a folder name. Python handles both. There's a way to make folders into packages as well. Has to be in your Python path, and then you can import them like this. And I don't have to go .py. No. Just like that. Simple, easy, minimalistic. That's Python. And so there's a lot of things that I can import, and there's different ways that I can import them. What does random do? Random gives me randomness in many different ways. Random is an object. It contains many methods, so there's many ways of using random. We're going to use randint. So if I'm here and I want a random number, I can say, okay, random underscore number equals random dot randint. So we're going to use the method that follows random. There are many of them. This is one of the most used ones, called randint. So it's a random integer, and I insert like that. Unfortunately, I can't just do this and have it assume an end scope. I have to insert both. So now randint will give me a random integer between 0 and 100 randomly. Let's print it out. Random number. Let's run that. It happens to be 1. Let's run it again. It's 38, 11, 44, 0, 52, 13, 61, 67. So random is incredibly important, especially when you make video games. Every video game needs random. Pretty much every video game needs, no, I would say every video game works with entropy in some way or other, right? So you need random. There's no way to program it. There's no way to program something that gives you a different result every time you run it without random. So we are entirely dependent on being able to import random. At the same time, random comes with Python. It's part of the standard library, but it's not in Python by default like print is. Like, I don't have to import print. Print is just there. Random isn't there. That's because the standard library is big. There's a lot of things that comes with Python. It's very, very useful. Lots of things that you can do that you can just import. You don't have to install anything else. It comes with your installation of Python, but it would be a waste if you had to load all of it every time you started a new Python file, because we only want to load the things that we actually need. So that's why it's done in this way, and it actually makes a lot of sense. Okay, let's keep that there and begin working on our actual interface. So we're going to make an interface that allows a user to interface with what we're doing. So the thing that's missing so far is allowing the user to say something to us. So the minute we can take an entry from the user, we can make a video game. Now, most video games uses a type of interface called GUI or GUI, graphical user interface. Okay, pretty colors, all very, very nice. We don't have that here. I mean, we can if you want to, but it would take more work. Not only do video games do that, basic programs do that. Programs intended for the end user typically uses graphical user interfaces, because that's what the end user is expecting. The end user wants an OK button and a cancel button. He wants a file menu at the top left corner and an edit menu right next to it, and a settings menu or preferences somewhere to the right of that. He wants if you're using Windows, he wants if using Windows, in other words, if using if using an operating system that uses floating windows like Windows does. I'm not using one by coincidence. I'm one of the few people in the world who uses the tiling window manager. But in every other situation, there'd be an X button up here and a minimize and maximize button up here, and these are the things the user expects to be there when he makes a program. And these are also the 1% of programs. The 1%. Most programs you make out there are not created for the end user. End user programs are usually collections of sometimes hundreds of different libraries that somebody puts together to make a program for the end user. And so 90% of programs out there are not intended for end user. They're libraries intended for other programmers to use. Or they're programs made without a graphical user interface in mind and made for kind of a technical user, right? And this is called a CLI or a CLI, a command line interface. And that's the kind of interface we're going to make, a command line interface. So why are command line interfaces so very popular among programmers? Because a command line interface allows you to wrap your program very quickly into something that does exactly what you programmed. When you make a user interface, you have a graphical user interface, you have to test it against users and add a bunch of fluff to it to finish it, so that users get, because users also want an about page, and they want to, now you have to add a help page, and now you have to add preferences, and now you have to think about if users are going to use your program in another way, and you have to add features and this. No, but when you just make a program that does one thing, and most programs should just do one thing, right, or it gets too messy, you want to add a command line interface that allows somebody to use the program for that exact one thing, and then that person can take that and put it as a library into his computer, and then you get many programs that does one thing. That gives you one program that does many things. That's how it should work. And when it doesn't work like that, it becomes chaotic, it becomes spaghetti code, it becomes messy very often. So a basic command line interface takes commands, but most importantly, it waits to take commands. So what are we doing while we're waiting? We're running a while loop. A while loop is the computer's version of waiting, and we'll just do this while true. There's not a counter, there's not a game over thing. I don't care about any of that. It's just while through. So this program will run forever. So we're not going to run it right now. But the first thing I'm going to add, I'm just going to go while true. And then in here, I'm going to use another function called input. And actually I have to catch input somewhere. So I go imp equals input. So whatever is being inputted goes in here. Now I'm going to ask the player a question. No, actually I'm not. You're going to do that. I'm going to just do this. I'm going to do that. I'm going to add 3 of those bigger than signs and a space bar into my first argument into the input function. That's going to be what the user sees. He's now going to be able to type at the end of that, and whatever he types goes in here into input, allowing me to do something with it. So if I want to do something with it, I'm going to need an if statement. So if input is equal to, remember, 2 equals is equal to exit, right? Or input is equal to Q. No, let's go with quit. Or input is equal to Q. Break. So the break command, the break statement, tells Python to break from the closest loop you're in. If I'm in multiple while loops, I could be in multiple for loops, break will break one of them. If I'm in multiple of them, I would do break like that, but now we're just in one. So while true will go forever, but it will halt waiting for an input. And once that input comes, it processes the input, and if it happens to be exit, or it happens to be quit, or it happens to be Q, it breaks and we're out of the program. Super simple way of doing it. And then if it doesn't, I'm just going to print input right back at the user. That is an echo interface. I'm just echoing. Very, very simple. And that's how it works. So now I have a problem. I can't run it here. If I run it here, I get that. Can I type something here? Oh, I can. So chances are you won't be able to run it here. Chances are you need to go into your command line to run it. Looks like I'm running it now, and then it just ends. That's not a good solution. So what is the reason for that? So print and input share a relationship. Print shows the user something, right, or yourself, and input takes an entry, takes something from the user, takes in. So these follow channels in the operating system called standard in and standard out. So input uses standard in, print uses standard out. These are things that your operating system makes available to our programs. So the command line interface you're using has a standard in and a standard, or receives standard in and standard out. The terminal using or the command line that you're using. But this program, Sublime, doesn't need a standard in. All it needs to run things is a very basic way to run code, which is it would be too much programming to make it a full-fledged terminal. It doesn't need to be. It's just there to show code, right? So sometimes I want my own, let's see, CD desktop projects, tutorials. I think we're there. There is interface. Yeah. So here we are. So I want to do that from the terminal, which is this, from this terminal right here. So what I'm going to do now, I'm going to type Python and I'm going to press enter. So that shows me what version of Python it is. Now I'm using Python 2.7.6 by default. That's what happens when I type Python and nothing else. Not Python 2, not Python 3. This is unfortunate because it's Python 2. It should be Python 3. Now I'm now inside a REPL. You notice these three lines. I didn't make this. This comes with Python, but this is not an echo interface. This is an actual REPL interface. Here it will evaluate code. So if I type a equal 10, it stores that, and if I just type a, it shows me that a is 10. I don't have to go print a. It just does it for me because that's what the REPL does, right? So if I go a plus 5, it shows me 15. And then here I can also import random, and it accepts that, and then I can go, okay, well, I don't want to look at it. And I can type any Python code I want to. I can type, but it's not being saved. So what is this used for? It's not that useful, actually. It's useful to quickly check some things very quickly, and that's it. And to get out, remember, for any terminal you're in, Control D is the way to get out. So Control D gets you out of there. So now I know I'm in Python 2. Now, if you're in Windows, you probably saw Python 3 up here. If you're using Ubuntu Linux like me, it's Python 2 still, unfortunately. If you're using Mac or using Arch Linux, you would have seen Python 3 up here, which is good. That's really what it should be, and I wish Canonical, that makes Ubuntu, would kind of get around to updating, which I'm sure they will soon. So if you're in the future and you're using Ubuntu and it's Python 3, welcome to the future. Now, it's not that difficult. I just type Python 3, and now I'm in the REPL belonging to Python 3, and I have 3.7.3 here. So let's get out of that. So if I want to run a file, I type Python 3 to run it in Python 3. That's what I'm trying to say. And so I go interface.py. I got my little auto finish here, and now we're running. And now I have an interface. So if I type hello, it just echoes back hello. I go hi there, it echoes back hi there. 22, it shows me 22. No matter what I do, it echoes this back until I type exit and route. That's an interface. That is a way for you to interface with the user. That's enough. We can make a writing game like this. That's what we're going to do in the next video. This is going to be your exercise, to use this interface to add, let me end this and go back here. So obviously this part, the print part, needs to be something else, right? And we can also add a print statement up here that goes, please input, oops, that needs to be a string, obviously. Please, I forgot how to type English. Please input something, right? So if I run that, where was I? Boink. If I run that, Python 3, please input something. I go hello, and then it says please input something again. And then I go hi, and then please input something again. So that's kind of annoying. So if I want to fix that, I have to do, what do you think I have to do? Just put it there. Now it's outside of the while loop. It will be run once, and then the while loop takes over and runs the rest of it, right? So if I run this, please input something. Hello, and it continues, it echoes hello, and keeps going, and that's what I want. So that's how to use this interface in different ways to kind of present whatever you want to the user in whatever way you want to present it. Okay, Control D, and yeah, that's it. That's everything. Now we're coming with an exercise.